Brought to you by Blackmagic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. Blackmagicdesign.com.
Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program, we're going to be talking about some films that we saw at this year's Slamdance Film Festival. Joining me now via Zoom, our man in Hollywood and the man behind ActuallyPaid.com, Mr. Bill Hammon.
Hey, hey.
And No Rest for the Weekend's own Yasin Lago.
Hello, folks.
Now officially settled in LA, out in Bill's neck of the woods. Did you get a chance to go this year?
It was a lot more organized than it was last year. I mean, last year being the first time in LA, there were growing pains, logistical issues, especially where things were going to screen. Like the headquarters are at the Directors Guild building on Sunset Boulevard. And last year there were some other scattered like small studio spaces in West Hollywood where basically if the space was available, it was used. This year, they kind of split between the DGA headquarters, which has its own theater complex, and the Landmark Theater Sunset, which is literally 2 blocks down the road. Like I walked between the two buildings when I went down there just so I can scope everything out, get the credentials and all, shoot B-roll, all that fun stuff. A lot more streamlined this time, and I think it worked out really well, especially because last year being, in these basically just sitting on folding chairs and sound stages wasn't the most welcoming or comforting experience in watching a film. But this time around, you're sitting in real theaters with real chairs with cushions. The Landmark has stadium seating. Like it felt much more like a true movie going experience, a lot like AFI Fest feels when they station it out at the Chinese. So very fun, very warm atmosphere the whole way through. I think they've kind of worked out the kinks.
So we got some movies to talk about. Since you saw the opening night feature, why don't you tell us about that one?
That one was called The Projectionist. It was written, directed, and produced, and I think edited also by Andre Rockwell. Who's I think he's fairly known in the independent circles. This one was what we'll call an art house film noir, an end of the road sort of story about a man living in exile, former gangster, just out of prison, played by Von D. Curtis Hall, who's, if you know him, you know his performances are always solid, and he's wonderful here. Plays a self-exiled gangster who's got a job at a art house local cinema as a film projectionist. While he's working there, he's also dealing with a few things in his life, one being his brother, who's going through severe dementia, played by David Provell, veteran Hollywood actor David Provell. He's visited by his long-dead wife, Karen Parsons, who some may remember from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, she played the older sister, and so he's living in this sort of in a removed life a hermit lifestyle when some old gangster friends comes back to haunt him, not quite like his wife, much worse. His boss, led by Cassie Lemons. Cassie Lemons. I want to make sure I pronounce the name right. She hasn't been around for a bit, but a lot of folks may remember her from a few things. One of them right off the top being Silence of the Lambs. Kevin Corrigan, who's always great, plays Donald in this one, Crooked Cop, and Michael Buscemi, who's Dizzy, who's the diplomat of the group, and basically trying to get him back into the circle one last time to deal with an old enemy that's resurfaced that quite possibly could have been the actual murderer of his wife, who he went to prison for 12 years before. And so the movie gets into a kind of revenge little bit of redemption and really a story about coming to grips with handling, family business at the end. Because there's also an estranged daughter that he's been trying to stay away from, and circumstances are seemingly leading him back to her. It's a touching story. It's a real story too. It's very much like a jazz song. It's a very smooth, very sorrowful, um, and art house. It's got that art, which I don't read too much anymore.
Cool. I mean, that sounds very slam dance. If like that, it's very fitting for the festival. Bill, what do you got for us next?
First film I got here is A Free Daughter of Free Kyrgyzstan. It's a documentary about a young woman named Zera, who is a pop singer in Bishkek, the capital of Kyrgyzstan, Central Asian country, former Soviet republic. Over the last, let's say decade or so, like the country has become more and more democratic, but there are still a lot of people who are set in old ways. And one of the ways in which that it manifests itself is when Zere does her music. She's a pop singer. She makes standard, pop videos. There was one that went kind of viral because, heaven forfend, she had her shirt slightly open and you could see her bra. This elicited death threats for insulting traditional Kyrgyz ways and everything like that. Very, repressive responses from the old patriarchal guard, as it were. And really, she's just singing about, positivity, coming into her own as a woman, figuring out her role in society. I mean, one of the things that's really wonderful about her is that she fully admits that she has lived a privileged life. She's from an upper middle class family who raised her to be ambitious and to seek out different paths in life. They caution her, be careful. This is still, a society that may frown upon that and may even react to it in very extreme ways, but we're not going to raise you to just be another housewife. We're going to raise you to be an independent woman and to achieve your own goals. So she spends her days making music and advocating for women's rights. As the country starts backsliding more into authoritarianism, that means she's met with more oppression. I mean, there's a scene where she goes to a protest and a couple of agitators show up with signs basically saying that, women belong in the kitchen and all stuff like that. And she and her friends are the ones who get arrested. No charges. She's let go an hour later, but it's like it's clear where the power lies. But the whole film, directed by Lee Yacobucci, I believe she's a Swiss director. I was able to talk to her briefly after the screening. She was really fun just to get to know her for a few minutes. The crux of the film is that Zeri is not saying anything extreme or provocative, at least not by our sensibilities. She's just trying to share her art with the world, trying to, in essence, grow up through her music. And I say this, I'm not a fan of pop music in general. Her songs would not necessarily be anything that I would listen to on Spotify. It's just not my thing. But I can still respect and admire and appreciate the artistry that's involved. She's trying to express herself in ways that, at least in her country, may or may not be allowed much longer. It's very delicate political and social lines that we have to walk here, because especially as the world blows up around us, like there are a lot of dangerous paths to tread here. But this film is about showing you how beautiful this young woman is inside and out. This is not, a puff piece for a pop star. This is, hey, this is how I can express myself. My friends, my brothers, we have a small studio in our house where we can play around with keyboards and basses, and I can sing and come up with a message of empowerment. Not in the, purely, not like in a Helen Reddy sense. This is not I am woman, hear me roar. This is, hi, I'm woman, please don't beat me in the streets. It's that simple message of just saying, "Hey, I'm a human being. Treat me as such." That's such a wonderful attitude and a wonderful expression of art and music. Again, coming from someone who does not care for pop music, does not care for synthesizers and computerized beats, it's not my thing. But I guarantee you, if she came to this country, I would buy a ticket just to support her. Like that's I support what she's doing. I support how she's living, and that's what the film is really about. It's like it's again in the title, freedom, a free daughter of free Kyrgyzstan. Like it, people can have different political beliefs. People can have liberal, conservative, neutral ideologies, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings who expect to be treated with dignity and be allowed equal rights in our society. And yeah, there are definitely some parts in the world who have yet to catch up to that very basic idea. So I just absolutely adored this portrait. It's not that long. It's barely over an hour, but for that like 75 odd minutes, like you are just falling in love with this girl, not in a romantic sense, just adoring what she stands for. And it's like you want to give her a big hug. You want to say, "Hey, you're no matter what happens, you're safe with me. I'm going to protect you. My friends are going to protect you. My family's going to protect you. Everybody should be protecting you and should be protecting all the young girls and women of the world who are trying to find their voice." That's what makes this just so remarkable, and I'm here for everything they've got going. Again, I got to talk to the director briefly afterward, and I told her basically what I'm telling you guys now, and she's like, "I'm gonna talk to Zeri on the phone tomorrow, and I'm gonna tell her everything you just said. Like, and can I have a hug?" It's like, "Yes, of course. I'm a 45-year-old teddy bear. Bring it in." It's like I'm a big old hugger. It's like that's one of the things I love about Slamdance as a festival. Is like this is truly a celebration, and this is a perfect example.
Let's move on to the next one. Yas, you got another one for us?
Yes. Oh yeah. This one's out of Spain. Zeta. It's the story of a social media influencer, very popular one, has a big following online, and basically goes from country to country, absorbs herself a little bit into the culture as both someone who appreciates the culture, but at the same time is also there as a bit of a disruptor, and is there to also sort of get some of the points that is needed for creator content to be so popular as we would know. So she's kind of doing her thing, and she's doing it quite successfully. As it turns out, that is merely a ploy. The job as an influencer is really to get her to be able to travel and get into darker parts of the culture, so she can find out the person who raped and killed her little sister.
Just to be clear, this is
Yeah,
not a documentary.
this is not a
Okay,
documentary.
just checking.
This is fiction. This is a story, a thriller, we'll say. Though it doesn't quite play as a normal thriller. It really does follow like a young girl trying to discover herself and discover what it is that she's really doing online, as far as adopting an identity. In the meantime, when the lights go down low, and as when they'll flash back during the movie to scenes of when she's supposedly just sort of absorbing the culture, but as it turns out, is following particular individuals to acquire information and an opportunity to find them and kill them. She's taking them out without hesitation. You would think that she was an assassin, the way that she does it with such sort of cold-bloodedness. When she gets onto the network of where the predators connect, it all for some reason goes back home. It goes back to where she grew up. She travels, meanwhile, she's traveling across the world. She gets one guy in Korea. She gets another, finds it some more people in California. and for whatever reason, everything reverts back to her home back in Spain. And so then there's this whole story about her home life and the problems with her mother and the problems she doesn't have with her father and then her still trying to work out exactly what happened to her sister. It seems complicated, but in actuality, it's a very simple, very stripped down but beautiful. Uh, I would say almost a portrait of a girl trying to find herself, trying to figure out how much of her is revenge and how much of it her is latent trauma that she's actually dealing with, um, along with the killing of her younger sister, because she seems to have, as the story is unfolding, more responsible. She's more responsible. She holds more responsibility for what happened uh, than she's willing to admit in the beginning.
It sounds like it's going to be another chapter in the extended John Wick universe.
It's not it's not Ballerina 2. You're not watching an action movie. Just the opposite. I think the ending diffuses a lot of the sort of bravado that she has about killing these apex predators, um, without giving out too much of the story, because you really have to see how it unfolds to understand what has happened to her. It's not just as simple as this is revenge for her little sister. It's a lot deeper. It's interesting. It's a very interesting story.
All right, we got maybe time for one more. Bill, you got another one in you?
Yes, sir. The Old Man and the Parrot. Thankfully, this one's easy to categorize. It is a pure comedy from beginning to end. So you have this gentleman named Praxi, played by Ruben Rabasa. He's walking around Miami, specifically the Little Havana neighborhood, with a stuffed parrot. He goes to what looks like a very nice house and breaks in to the house with the parrot and an old-timey flintlock pistol like a pirate would use back in the 18th century. He's there to confront the owner of the house, a man named Radel, played by Serafin Falcone, because Radel put a curse on Praxi's partner, Yoelvis, played by Renee Lavon, trapping his soul in the parrot. And Praxi wants the curse lifted. The problem is that Radel has recently had a stroke and is nonverbal. He can only just grunt and moan, so it is left to his daughter Anna to potentially perform this Santeria-esque ritual to free Yoelvis's soul from a stuffed parrot. That's just the first 5 minutes. We flash back a few years, about 10, 15 years. Proxy's working as a salesman and a factory worker, and Yoelvis, a friend of his who had, smuggled himself in from Cuba as a refugee, gets fired from his job. So he's like, okay, well, you can come live with me while you get yourself back on your feet. And Yoelvis, his dream job basically is to open a restaurant for vegetarian Cuban cuisine, because that's just not a common thing. And it's mostly meat based. So Yoelvis, not really, being a meat eater, he's a pure vegetarian and also not able to speak English. He has trouble selling his wares. He and Proxy just go closer and closer to the point where they eventually become a couple. But their next door neighbor at the time is Radel, who again is something of a mystic. I think he refers to himself as a spiritual energy alchemist, like not pure Santeria. And he performs these rituals and he talks about, ways to move the soul after the body dies and all this stuff. And it's a little bit kooky. Certainly not anything that I would subscribe to, but Proxy's open to it. It's like, hey, if you want to, give us a spell to help our business, I'll take all the help I can get, But Yoelvis is having none of it. He thinks that Radel is purely a con man, and because he keeps a pet chicken, he believes that Radel is going to sacrifice said chicken for his rituals, which just offends Joe Elvis on so many levels as an animal rights activist and as a pragmatist and as a vegetarian. So a whole series of japes and follies and farces unfold to the point where Rodell gets arrested, and due to Joe Elvis's interference, basically, so he curses Joe Elvis that your body's going to fail you and I'll trap you where you belong. And that's eventually into the Parrot. I was like, the way the film's presented, again, this is a comedy. There's a little bit of romance in it. There's a lot of dark jokes. Like, there's an incident with one of the chickens where, if you saw last year with Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Think of the hamster and then make it a chicken. You'll know exactly what happens. And it is just as shocking and hilarious when it happens. But there is this weird sense of humanity in all of it. Like, yeah, Rodell's religious beliefs, for lack of a better term, are quite odd, definitely non-mainstream. And what he's trying to do with his beliefs and faiths and maybe even powers is quite unnatural, but he also uses it as a way to bond with his daughter and help her through, some of the more difficult aspects of her life. Like when Anna's a young girl, she has a pet gerbil that's about to die. And so Rodell teaches her how to do these soul transfer rituals, not because necessarily he thinks he's actually going to work, but it's like, this is how I'm going to help you ease this poor animal's pain, how I'm going to help you cope with its passing, and know that there's things that are greater than the mundane in this world. It's weirdly touching, even though the scene ends with him tossing a dead gerbil over his shoulder like it's nothing. It's like there is something heartfelt in it, just like with Proxy and Joe Elvis. Like, this is very much like an opposites attract situation. Proxy is very extroverted. He's a great salesman. He used to be a stand-up in when he lived in Cuba. He wears a very obvious wig. I mean, when you see him in the present day, he's bald. He looks like an emaciated version of Hulk Hogan right before the end. This is a guy who definitely does not have a natural full head of hair, even in the flashbacks. Like, and they comment, I was like, this is a wig, right? It's like, oh no, totally not. It's real. He's like, it's a wig. I was like, it's like Beyonce sitting home going, girl, like that is a weave, and it's a weave. It's like it's like you're not fooling anybody. But again, that's part of the charming humor of it all. Like that's Proxy's character, whereas Joe Elvis, like, he's an idealist. He has these dreams and ambitions, and he wants to help the world eat healthier and kill fewer animals and make the world a better place. But he's very rigid, and he's like, I want to do this on my terms. Like, I don't care about ever learning English. I know a few phrases, I understand the basic things, but he gets into a fight with one of his own customers. Guy comes to the stand and says, hey, let me get this this burger you got here, and it's a black bean burger. It's there's a whole big banner right behind you, Elvis, that says, Proxy and you, Elvis, is vegetarian Cuban cuisine. And the guy takes one bite of the burger, is like, yo, what the hell? I ordered a burger. Where's the meat? It's like, idiot, it's right behind you. It's like, so yeah, like, these are very different people, but they do find a common ground, a comfort, and eventually, a romantic love for each other that they really can't explore because just time makes fools of us all. It's one of those weird kind of bittersweet things. And you're couching that in, again, a present day where a bald man is carrying around a stuffed parrot and holding you at gunpoint saying, release my boyfriend. It's like, it's again, that's one of the things I love about Slamdance. I mean, again, it's the cool alternative cousin to Sundance. It's like, this is where we're allowed to be weird. I mean, the premise is bug nuts crazy. and it's hilarious to watch it all unfold. And then you get deeper into the story, you get some genuine pathos wrung out of it, and just when things feel their darkest and heaviest, we get right back to bug nuts crazy and end it about as perfectly as you can. I won't spoil it, but it's like, yeah, there's that lovely weirdo spirit of Slamdance that we love so much. Like, as like you brought it full circle. Like again, just like with Portal to Hell last year. Like, this is what I love about this festival. This is a perfectly Slamdance film. I don't know if it'll ever get distribution. I don't know if it'll end up on a streamer. I just know that you sit there, you're just gonna have a smile on your face for 90 minutes, and for all the right weird reasons. It's so delightfully strange, and that's just so much fun.
Bill, for people who want to see your stuff, read your reviews, etc., where can they find you online?
I am at actuallypaid.com, actually_paid on the tweets and the YouTube, actuallypaid.bluesky.social on the current butterfly blue thingy, all the fun stuff. And of course, you guys keep allowing me to come in the door here. So
that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, including more film festival coverage, visit NoRestForTheWeekendPodcast.com. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube, youtube.com/GetBehindTheRabbit. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Blackmagic Design, and for Bill Hammon, Yasin Lago, and the BTRP Media Network, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
This is the BTRP Media Network.